All right. Last thing I want to talk about, which remains with the coaching staff. Jim Schwartz headed to Cleveland to be the defensive coordinator, a job Brian Flores could have gotten. Very excited that he didn't get because for two reasons. One, I expect Flores to get a job somewhere in a pretty big role this season. I actually think he's going to land in Arizona as a head coach, which I think is very deserved. Two, you don't want Floor. You don't want Flo in Cleveland. You just don't want to do that. Nobody wants to face that. You don't want to look at Flores that way, the whole nine. With Schwartz, though, he has made it known that Myles Garrett is going to be a monster in 2023. He said to the media during his initial press conference, I think it's quote unquote, it's my job to give him some answers and to be able to give him some pieces scheme wise and personnel wise around him to allow him to be free and more productive. The bar is set really high for a good reason. From what you know of Jim Schwartz's past in the NFL, is this a very dangerous setup for the Steelers and what he's going to bring to Cleveland?
Yeah, I think it's a great hire. I really do. I mean, I'm still pretty Cleveland, like we said a couple weeks ago. Cleveland's got a lot of issues offensively with that quarterback situation. That's the key for Cleveland. Their outlook next year. Nothing they do matters if they can't fix Deshaun Watson and what we saw this year. Having said that, though, Jim Schwartz, really good hire. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's an accomplished defensive coordinator. I mean, he's succeeded at multiple different stops. The big thing about Schwartz is he gets after the passer. And he does it with, his trench guys. Like he doesn't necessarily need to always bring pressure in order to do so. So I'm sure Myles Garrett is really happy about that. I thought your quote that you just read off, I hadn't seen it before we jumped on, but I definitely think that his comment about making sure the scheme and the personnel beside him is where it needs to be. That's where I think Cleveland has work to do. He has gotten a lot out of interior defensive linemen over the course of his career. Like look back to, I'm pretty sure he was in Detroit with Ndamukong Suh. You look back to when he was in Philadelphia with Fletcher Cox. So he's developed some big time interior defensive linemen. That guy's not on the roster right now for Cleveland. And this interior defensive line class for the draft isn't necessarily the strongest either. One name that I've heard floated around in terms of like a potential trade guy that could be available in the offseason is DeForest Buckner. That would be a really good move for Cleveland to give Garrett, because he's really never played, like Garrett's never played with a accessory pass rusher or he's never had a Robin. Like the best guy that they've ever really put him with has been Clowney, and Clowney's more of a run defender than he is like an impactful pass rusher. So for Cleveland, I think that's probably going to be their next step, is trying to figure out who that guy is going to be, because I think Schwartz is going to want somebody in the interior defensive line. I know they drafted Perion Winfrey, who I liked a little bit out of Oklahoma, but I'm not sure that that's enough, or they have enough juice on the defensive line, especially because we know Clowney's not coming back. So
no, Clowney ain't going. Clowney ain't stepping anywhere in Cleveland for a while. Yeah, he's in the open market. They're not even talking to him. There are some names though on the open market. I mean, Fletcher Cox is set to be a free agent again.
So is Javon Hargrave.
I know. I was going to mention him next. I don't think Steelers fans want him to go to Cleveland. I think they'd very much so like him to end up back in Pittsburgh. Davlin Tomlinson's out there as well. I mean, you could find somebody. You could go grab a 36-year-old Ndamukong Suh in week 15 and then see if you can make a playoff run. There's a lot of names. Do you think that could be a route? Do you think that you could bring a Fletcher Cox into Cleveland and say, okay, this could work, even though you're 32 years old?
Yeah, I mean, Cox is probably a little bit older than what. I don't know that that's a splash they need to make. Now, Hargrave, I can see
Hargrave
that.
is. Yeah.
I can see that 100%.
Do you think that works? Do you think that type of player works next to Myles Garrett?
Oh yeah. Like I said, they need another dude on that defensive line. Like they have good pieces. Like Cleveland's got pretty good pieces. You look at if Garrett, Denzel Ward, the Ward we saw in the second half of the season, not the Denzel Ward we saw in the first half.
Yeah.
Along with Greg Newsome, they got some young guys on that side of the ball that could really make some noise. It's just about putting the whole puzzle together. Like they have good starting pieces, but the puzzle's not finished. So they're going to be a interesting team to watch. Obviously, we'll keep close tabs on them with them being in the division. I still, like I tweeted this out even after the Steelers missed the playoffs due to that debacle. That I feel much better about where the Steelers are at, even post Matt Canada being brought back, than I do about the Browns in the short term, because I know that the Steelers don't have a sinking anchor at quarterback.
Yeah.
If Pickett doesn't pan out, and he's not the guy long term, and he's just, a baseline starter. It is one thing that you can move on from missing a quarterback in the first round. Is that detrimental to like your franchise? Absolutely. It's not catastrophic. That Deshaun Watson deal, because of the draft picks involved, because of the $250 million guaranteed, that's a catastrophic thing.
Yeah, it's
and
bad.
Just watching Watson's film leading up to the Steelers game a couple weeks ago, and then obviously watching him live and watching the film post game, it's bad right now. It's really
bad.
It's very concerning. So, like I said, nothing Cleveland does this offseason, even if I like some of their moves, some of the pieces that they have, nothing really matters if they can't fix that guy. And that's the big question.
What about the AFC North in a whole? You got you're worried about Cleveland. Baltimore and Lamar might be headed towards a divorce. The Bengals are the Bengals. They're not going anywhere for a long time. Is the AFC North about to get easy for the Steelers? Somewhat easy.
Yeah, I think I'm not really too worried about the Browns, to be honest. The Browns.
No. But if Lamar and Baltimore's over, and that seems to be it. It doesn't seem good right now. I'm not going to say
it's not good. It's definitely not good.
Direction,
even if things work themselves out, it's not good.
Now,
the one dude you can't piss off in your franchise is the quarterback.
Yeah,
you can't,
especially your MVP quarterback.
You can't mess with that dude. And I know Steelers fans don't hold Lamar in nearly as high regard as everyone else for whatever reason. But Lamar, when he's in the lineup, the Ravens win 70% of their games.
Yeah.
And that's just that the Ravens are really, really good with Lamar Jackson at quarterback.
Yeah.
Even all things surrounding him, the lack of weapons, whatever you think of Greg Roman, a very limited play caller, in my opinion, he wins football games. And that's the thing. Without him, we saw what Baltimore was.
Yeah, exactly.
There was
you can say whatever you want about Lamar Jackson. It's a lot easier to go play Tyler Huntley twice a season than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, so the Lamar thing, definitely. It's one of the more interesting storylines in the offseason. What happens with that? Does he get tagged? Are they able to work on he's going to get tagged.
He's going to get tagged. They're not going to let him walk.
But, does he get tagged? Do they facilitate a trade for him? What the haul? I would imagine the haul, as far as a return, would be massive. But
can't you tender tag him or something? Isn't it like the exclusive franchise tag?
They can, and that's 2 first-round picks.
2 first-round picks. Yeah, but what are you going to ask for Lamar Jackson? A first-round pick? No, you're giving up multiple.
It's going to be multiple. Picks. Yeah. So just for me, Baltimore's organization. This is why it's kind of surprising to me that we've gotten to this point. But Baltimore's organization is just so steady. And you don't see things like this happen with them very often. Normally, when they move on from players, it works out for them.
Yeah.
This is something that I would not do. I would not recommend doing that. So, and I do also want to acknowledge, though, like I'm very pro player in 99% of these things, even if they involve, the team that I cover or root for. But Lamar's durability, there is some level of concern there that I do get. It's not relative to him running, because every time he gets hurt, it's when he's passing. But I'm not really worried about the running aspect of it. But, there are some durability concerns. When you don't finish back-to-back seasons, there's going to be some concerns there. And I think I get that from Baltimore's perspective. I wouldn't let that guy out the building. I really wouldn't. But it's up to them. I guess I will be happy if he goes elsewhere. I'll just put it that way.
Okay, but would you? Okay, because this was presented. Steven presented this to me on Wednesday. Would you be happy? What if he stayed in the AFC? Like, could you imagine Lamar Jackson on another team? Like, the Baltimore Ravens, yeah, contender, maybe, but I think borderline contender with Lamar Jackson. He ends up in New England, contender. The Jets, contender. Tennessee, contender. Uh, Literally anywhere outside of Houston and Indianapolis, this guy could easily take a team to the Super Bowl. Is that, and chances are he's going to stay in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean Lamar has the capability of being a one man band on offense. I
That's
mean,
what I'm
just because
saying. Like,
of
do you want him somewhere else or do you want him in Baltimore where they're never, no matter what you do, going to give this guy weapons? They're just going to give him a running back and say, this is what we're here. This is what we do. This is who the Baltimore Ravens
I
are.
think a lot of it just really needs to come down to the play caller over there too. Like
Yeah.
Greg Roman was the perfect fit for Lamar early in his career. This thing's run its course though.
Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
as much good stuff as Baltimore can do in their quarterback run game, their running back run game stuff, um, it's run its course. Like we need to go get a real offensive coordinator that can develop some sort of passing game over in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So and just see where Lamar can go with that. I mean, we already know he's got an MVP season under his belt already, but let's just see what kind of passer he can develop into if we get a more functional infrastructure for him. So I definitely I'm cool with him leaving. I don't want to have to see him
Yeah.
twice. I mean, the Steelers have been really fortunate. I mean, he's been there for 5 years. He's only played in 3 games because of injuries, and he sat out a game. And then his rookie year, the Steelers played them twice early in the season, didn't have to see him. So they've been really fortunate. They've only had to play him 3 times. They've had good success against him too. But I'm cool. If he wants to leave, I'm cool.
Yeah. 100%. Go wherever. Go play for the Saints. Go play anywhere in the NFC would be chef's kiss.
You know
Chef's
what's
kiss.
funny though? I know Steven, a Boston guy, but it's funny, man. The Patriots passed on Lamar twice.
Twice. And now they're like favored. He said they're favored to land Lamar if he hits the open
Yeah,
market.
I'm pretty sure that Belichick probably wants that one back.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, and that's what he said too. He's like Belichick always talks about how he loves a running quarterback. I was like, he went from Mac Jones or Tom Brady to Mac Jones with a really old Cam Newton and Brian Hoyer in the middle of that. That one doesn't. I don't know where he's going with that one. That would be worse though. That would be like you could at least like Baltimore. It is what if he ends up in New England, that would just very much so upset me. Very much so upset me. Steelers fans can never. It's just New England. Nobody likes New England.